As the years move gently forward, and many older adults find themselves taking one or more daily medications, small tablets that quietly support the heart, steady the blood pressure, manage cholesterol, or keep blood sugar within balance. These medicines become part of the morning routine, placed beside a cup of warm water or taken after a simple meal. What is less often discussed is that certain everyday foods, even something as familiar and natural as fruit, can sometimes influence how these medications work inside the body. Fruit is often seen as harmless, even purely beneficial, and in most cases, it truly is. It carries vitamins, fiber, hydration, and comfort in its natural sweetness. Yet the body after 70 processes both food and medicine a little differently than it once did. Metabolism slows. The liver and kidneys may work more quietly than before. Enzymes that break down substances in the digestive system may not respond with the same speed or strength. When a fruit contains natural compounds that affect these enzymes, it can change how a medication is absorbed, how long it remains active, or how strongly it works. In some cases, the effect is subtle. In others, it may be more noticeable, perhaps causing a medication to feel stronger than expected or not as effective as it once did. This does not mean fruit becomes an enemy in later life. It simply means the relationship between food and medicine deserves a little more awareness. For someone managing heart rhythm, blood pressure, anxiety, or chronic pain, consistency matters. The body relies on stable levels of medication in the bloodstream. If something interferes with that balance, even something natural, it can create quiet shifts that are not immediately obvious. A person may feel slightly dizzy, unusually fatigued, or experience mild side effects without realizing that a dietary change played a role. Often it is not about large amounts, but about regular patterns. A fruit eaten daily, combined with certain prescriptions, may gradually alter how the medication behaves. This is especially important for seniors who take multiple medications, as the body is already coordinating several chemical processes at once. The goal is never fear but understanding. Many older adults assume that if something grows from the earth, it cannot possibly interfere with a doctor's prescription, yet nature is powerful. Plants contain active compounds designed to protect themselves, and those same compounds can interact with human biology in meaningful ways. One fruit in particular has become widely discussed for its ability to affect how certain drugs are metabolized, sometimes increasing their strength in the bloodstream. That fruit is grapefruit, and its interaction with medications offers a clear example of how something simple and refreshing can quietly influence the body in unexpected ways. Grapefruit is often chosen for its fresh, slightly bitter taste and its reputation as a healthy start to the day. Many older adults enjoy half a grapefruit in the morning or a glass of grapefruit juice with breakfast, believing it supports digestion and provides vitamin C. And in many ways it does. It is refreshing, hydrating, and naturally bright in flavor. Yet grapefruit holds a unique quality that makes it different from most other fruits. Inside its pulp and juice are natural compounds that can influence enzymes in the digestive system, especially enzymes in the small intestine that help break down many common medications. These enzymes act like careful gatekeepers. When a pill is swallowed, it travels through the digestive tract, where enzymes help process and regulate how much of that medication enters the bloodstream. In a balanced situation, only a controlled amount passes through, creating a steady and predictable effect in the body. Grapefruit, however, can temporarily block or reduce the activity of certain enzymes, particularly those responsible for metabolizing drugs used for blood pressure, cholesterol, heart rhythm, anxiety, and other chronic conditions common in later life. When those enzymes are slowed down, more of the medication may pass into the bloodstream than originally intended. This can make a standard dose behave like a stronger one. The change may not always feel dramatic, but it can increase the risk of side effects such as dizziness, low blood pressure, irregular heartbeat, or unusual fatigue. In some cases, the opposite may occur, with other medications altering absorption in a way that reduces effectiveness. What makes grapefruit especially noteworthy is that the effect does not depend on large quantities. Even a single glass of juice can influence enzyme activity for many hours, sometimes up to a full day. That means separating the fruit and the medication by just a short time may not prevent interaction. The body, especially after 70, works more gradually and with less margin for sudden shifts. Small biochemical changes can have a larger impact than they once did. For seniors who take multiple medications, this interaction becomes even more important, as the balance between drugs must remain stable. Not every medication is affected by grapefruit, but enough are that healthcare providers often include warnings about it. The goal is not to remove enjoyment from meals, but to encourage informed choices. A simple conversation with a pharmacist or doctor can clarify whether grapefruit is safe alongside specific prescriptions. Understanding this interaction helps maintain steady treatment and avoid unintended complications. And while grapefruit is one example of how fruit can influence medication, there are other considerations when it comes to fruit in aging bodies, especially when it comes to natural sugars and how certain fruits may quietly raise blood glucose levels, which leads us to another important point about very sweet fruits and their effect on blood sugar. As the body grows older, its relationship with sugar becomes more delicate than it once was. In younger years, the system could respond quickly, insulin would rise, cells would absorb glucose, and balance would return without much effort. After 70, however, that process may slow. The pancreas may not release insulin as efficiently, and the body's cells may respond with less sensitivity. This does not mean sweetness must disappear from life. It simply means the body handles it differently. Very sweet fruits, especially those that are fully ripe, contain higher levels of natural sugars such as fructose and glucose. Fruits like ripe bananas, mangoes, grapes, and pineapples may taste soft and comforting. Yet they can raise blood sugar levels more quickly than many people expect. For seniors living with diabetes, prediabetes, or insulin resistance, this rise may be noticeable. But even for those without a formal diagnosis, frequent blood sugar spikes can quietly strain the body over time. What makes fruit more complex is that it carries both benefit and risk at the same time. It provides fiber, antioxidants, hydration, and nutrients that support immunity and digestion. Yet when portion sizes grow larger than the body can manage, the sugar load may become heavier than intended. A large bowl of very sweet fruit, eaten quickly or without protein or fiber alongside it, may cause blood glucose to climb rapidly and then fall just as sharply. That drop can leave a person feeling tired, shaky, or unusually hungry again. Over time, repeated spikes and drops may contribute to fatigue and imbalance. Aging bodies tend to prefer steadiness rather than sharp swings. Portion size plays a quiet but powerful role here. A few slices of mango may be gentle. A whole mango eaten at once may not be. A small handful of grapes can be reasonable. A large bowl may be too much. The body does not always send loud warnings. Sometimes the only signal is subtle sleepiness after eating, increased thirst, or a need to urinate more frequently. These are not dramatic alarms, but gentle hints that balance may have shifted. It is also important to remember that natural sugar is still sugar. The word natural does not remove its effect on blood glucose. For seniors who monitor their levels, pairing fruit with protein, such as nuts or yogurt, can help slow absorption and create more stability. Eating fruit earlier in the day rather than late at night may also reduce overnight fluctuations. Small adjustments can make a meaningful difference. This is not about fear of fruit. It is about awareness of how the aging body responds. Sweetness can remain part of life, but in moderation and balance. If this reminder felt helpful, you may simply leave the number 1 below. No explanation needed. And as we continue, there is another form of fruit that carries an even more concentrated sweetness, one that often looks small and harmless but contains far more sugar than expected. That brings us gently to dried fruits and how their concentrated nature may affect seniors differently. Dried fruits often appear small, simple, and harmless. A handful of raisins beside a bowl of oatmeal, a few dates in the afternoon with tea, some dried mango slices tucked into a snack container. Because they begin as fresh fruit, many people assume they carry the same balance and lightness. And in some ways, they do retain fiber and certain nutrients. But what changes during the drying process is the water content. When water is removed, what remains becomes more concentrated, including the natural sugars. The fruit shrinks, but the sugar does not disappear. It simply becomes denser within a smaller space. For an aging body, this concentration can matter more than expected. A cup of fresh grapes contains a significant amount of water, which slows down how quickly sugar enters the bloodstream. But that same cup, once turned into raisins, becomes far smaller in volume while holding nearly the same sugar load. Because dried fruits are easy to eat quickly and in larger amounts, it becomes simple to consume more sugar than intended without realizing it. A small handful may equal several servings of fresh fruit. The body, especially after 70, often prefers gentle rises in blood sugar rather than sudden increases. When sugar enters the bloodstream too quickly, it can create a rapid spike, followed by a noticeable drop. That drop may bring fatigue, lightheadedness, or renewed hunger. Dried fruits can also cling to the teeth more than fresh fruit, increasing the risk of dental issues, which are already more common in later life. Sticky sugars remaining on tooth surfaces may quietly contribute to cavities or gum irritation if oral hygiene is not consistent. For seniors, managing diabetes or borderline blood sugar levels, dried fruit may cause readings that feel confusing, especially if portion sizes were not carefully measured. This does not mean dried fruits must be completely avoided. In small, mindful portions, they can still be enjoyed. A few pieces rather than a full handful. Paired with nuts to slow sugar absorption, eaten with awareness rather than casually while distracted. The key is understanding that dried fruit behaves differently inside the body than fresh fruit. The sweetness feels stronger because it is stronger. The body experiences it more quickly because there is no water buffer to slow the process. Another quiet consideration is storage. Dried fruits, when kept in warm or humid conditions, can sometimes develop mold that is not immediately visible. Seniors whose immune systems may not respond as robustly as before can be more sensitive to food contamination. Which brings us gently to another important point. Beyond sugar and sweetness, fruit must also be properly washed and stored, because bacteria and contamination can pose risks that are not always seen at first glance. Fruit often looks clean. Its surface shines under kitchen light. The colors are bright, the skin smooth, the scent fresh. It is easy to believe that something so natural and beautiful carries no hidden risk. Yet fruits travel a long journey before reaching the table. They grow in open fields exposed to soil, rain, insects, and handling. They are picked, sorted, transported, stocked on shelves, and touched by many hands along the way. Even fruit that appears spotless may carry invisible bacteria on its surface. For younger bodies, a small amount of bacteria may pass through without causing much trouble. The immune system responds quickly, often without noticeable symptoms. But after 70, the body's defenses may not move with the same speed or strength. The stomach produces less acid than it once did, and this acid normally acts as one of the first protective barriers against harmful microbes. When that barrier is gentler, bacteria that would have been neutralized before may survive longer inside the digestive tract. Unwashed fruit can carry organisms such as Salmonella E. coli, or Listeria. These names may sound distant or technical, but their effects can feel very real. For seniors, foodborne illness may not simply cause a day of discomfort. It can lead to dehydration, weakness, imbalance in blood pressure, or even hospitalization in more serious cases. What might be mild for a younger adult can feel much heavier in later life. Improper storage adds another quiet layer of risk. Fruit left too long at room temperature, especially in warm climates, may begin to spoil from the inside before visible signs appear. Soft spots, small cracks in the skin, or unnoticed bruises create entry points where bacteria can grow. Refrigeration slows this process, but not indefinitely. Even inside the refrigerator, fruits have a natural lifespan. Overripe fruit may ferment slightly, creating subtle changes in taste and smell that are easy to overlook. Pre-cut fruit deserves special attention. When fruit is sliced, its protective outer skin is removed, exposing moist interior flesh that bacteria can multiply on more quickly. If left unrefrigerated for even a short time, the risk increases. For seniors who live alone or prefer to prepare food in advance, it may be helpful to cut only what will be eaten that day. Simple habits can quietly reduce risk. Rinsing fruit under running water, even if the skin will be peeled, helps remove surface contaminants. Using a clean cloth or soft brush for firmer fruits can provide extra reassurance. Drying fruit before storage can also reduce moisture that encourages bacterial growth. These small steps require little effort but offer meaningful protection. The goal is not fear but care. The body after 70 deserves gentleness and steadiness. What enters it should support, not strain. Beyond bacteria and contamination, there is another subtle concern that may arise even when fruit is clean and properly stored. As fruit begins to overripen or ferment naturally, it can create digestive discomfort in ways that are not always immediately recognized. And that leads us softly into the next point: how overripe or spoiled fruit may affect digestion in older adults. Fruit ripens quietly. One day it feels firm and balanced. A day or two later it becomes softer, sweeter, and more fragrant. There is a natural window when fruit tastes its best, full of flavor but still stable. After that window passes, subtle changes begin. Sugars continue to break down. Fermentation may slowly start. The texture becomes overly soft, sometimes mushy. A faint sour smell may appear, though not always strong enough to be noticed immediately. For younger digestive systems, slightly overripe fruit may cause little more than mild discomfort. But for older adults, the digestive system often becomes more sensitive and less tolerant of these small changes. As the body ages, stomach acid production may decrease. Digestive enzymes may work more slowly. The intestines may move with less rhythm than before. These changes are natural, but they mean the body handles food with greater sensitivity. Overripe fruit contains higher levels of simple sugars and sometimes small amounts of natural alcohol produced during early fermentation. When consumed, these can ferment further in the gut, leading to bloating, gas, cramping, or loose stools. The discomfort may not feel dramatic, but it can be persistent and tiring. Spoiled fruit carries additional concerns. When fruit passes beyond overripeness into spoilage, harmful bacteria or mold may begin to grow. Sometimes mold appears as visible fuzzy spots. Other times it develops internally where it cannot be seen from the outside. Cutting away one visible spot does not always remove what has already spread invisibly. For seniors whose immune systems may respond more gently, even small exposure can cause digestive distress. Nausea, diarrhea, abdominal pain, or weakness may follow. Dehydration, in particular, becomes a greater risk in later life, as the body retains fluids less efficiently and thirst signals may not be as strong. Texture can also play a role. Very soft fruit may be easier to chew, which seems helpful. Yet excessive softness can signal that structural fibers have broken down significantly, allowing sugars to release quickly and feed gut bacteria in ways that create imbalance. For individuals already dealing with irritable digestion, reflux, or sensitive stomach lining, this can intensify symptoms. The simple solution is attentiveness. Choosing fruit that feels firm but not hard, smelling it gently before eating, storing it properly, and consuming it within a reasonable time. If uncertainty arises, if the scent feels slightly off or the texture unusually soft, it may be wiser to let it go. The body after 70 benefits from steadiness and caution rather than risk. Digestive comfort is not only about safety, it is also about quality of life. A calm stomach supports better sleep, stable energy, and clearer thinking. And while overripeness can cause discomfort, there are certain fruits that present a different kind of risk entirely for specific health conditions. One example is Starfruit, which may pose serious concerns for individuals with kidney problems, a topic that deserves careful attention next. Starfruit, with its bright yellow color and beautiful star-shaped slices, often feels exotic and refreshing. It is juicy, slightly tart, and visually appealing on a plate. Many people see it as a light tropical treat, something special yet harmless. In most healthy individuals, Starfruit can be enjoyed in moderation without noticeable problems. But for older adults, especially those living with reduced kidney function, this fruit carries a risk that is not widely understood. The kidneys play a quiet but vital role in the body. They filter waste products from the blood, regulate fluids, balance minerals, and help maintain steady internal chemistry. After 70, kidney function naturally declines to some degree, even in people who have never been diagnosed with kidney disease. For those already managing chronic kidney conditions, the filtering capacity may be significantly reduced. This means substances that would normally be removed efficiently can begin to accumulate. Starfruit contains a natural compound known as caramboxin. In healthy kidneys, this compound is filtered and eliminated without difficulty. But when kidney function is impaired, caramboxin may remain in the bloodstream and eventually affect the nervous system. The results can range from mild to severe. Some individuals have experienced persistent hiccups that do not stop for hours. Others have reported confusion, restlessness, muscle weakness, vomiting, or even seizures in more serious cases. These symptoms can appear within a few hours of consuming Starfruit and may be especially dangerous for those with advanced kidney disease. What makes this risk concerning is that Starfruit does not taste dangerous. There is no bitterness or warning sign in its flavor. It feels light and refreshing. A small portion may seem insignificant, yet for someone with compromised kidney function, even a modest amount can trigger symptoms. This unpredictability makes awareness important. Many older adults may not realize they have reduced kidney function, as early stages often produce no obvious signs. Blood tests ordered during routine checkups are usually the only way to detect changes. In addition to caramboxin, Starfruit also contains high levels of oxalates. Oxalates are naturally occurring compounds found in various foods, but in large amounts they can contribute to kidney stone formation. For individuals prone to kidney stones, this adds another layer of concern. The aging body is often less resilient when it comes to clearing excess minerals and waste products. What once passed unnoticed may now create discomfort or complications. The key here is not alarm, but clarity. Starfruit is not harmful for everyone. For those with healthy kidney function, it may be consumed occasionally without issue. But for seniors with diagnosed kidney disease, those on dialysis, or anyone advised to follow a kidney-friendly diet, it is generally recommended to avoid Starfruit entirely. A brief conversation with a healthcare provider can offer reassurance and personalized guidance. This example reminds us that fruit, while natural, is not always universally safe for every condition. The body after 70 carries its own unique needs and vulnerabilities. Understanding those needs helps prevent quiet complications. Beyond specific fruits that pose risk for certain medical conditions, there is another important principle to consider. Even healthy fruits, when eaten in very large amounts, can place strain on digestion and blood sugar balance. And that gentle idea leads us naturally into the next point: how portion size itself can quietly influence overall health. Even when a fruit is fresh, clean, and generally safe, the amount consumed can quietly shape how the body responds. In earlier decades of life, digestion often felt effortless. A large bowl of fruit after dinner might have caused little more than fullness. But after 70, the digestive system tends to move with a slower rhythm. The stomach empties more gradually. Enzyme production may decrease. The intestines may not contract with the same strength or coordination as before. These natural shifts mean that larger portions, especially of foods rich in fiber and natural sugar, can feel heavier than expected. Fruit contains fiber, which is beneficial in reasonable amounts. It supports bowel regularity and feeds healthy gut bacteria. Yet, excessive fiber in one sitting can overwhelm a more sensitive digestive tract. Bloating, gas, abdominal pressure, or cramping may follow. For seniors already managing conditions such as diverticulosis, irritable bowel symptoms, or slowed motility, large servings of fruit may intensify discomfort. The body after 70 often prefers smaller, spaced-out meals rather than heavy portions all at once. Sugar load also matters. Even when fruit is not overly sweet, consuming a large quantity in a short period introduces a significant amount of natural sugar into the bloodstream. The pancreas must respond, releasing insulin to manage the rise in glucose. In aging bodies, this response may not be as efficient as it once was. A large fruit salad eaten quickly may cause a noticeable spike followed by fatigue. Energy that felt steady before the meal may dip unexpectedly afterward. Some may experience lightheadedness or increased thirst without immediately connecting it to portion size. There is also a mechanical aspect to consider. The stomach has a certain comfortable capacity. When stretched beyond that capacity, even by healthy food, it may create pressure upward toward the diaphragm, contributing to reflux or heartburn. Many seniors already experience increased sensitivity to reflux due to changes in the esophageal muscles. Large fruit portions, especially acidic ones like citrus or pineapple, can worsen that sensation. Moderation brings balance. A small apple rather than two. A half cup of berries instead of a full bowl. Spacing fruit across the day instead of concentrating it in one meal. These gentle adjustments allow the digestive system to work with less strain. Eating slowly, chewing thoroughly, and pairing fruit with protein or healthy fat can also ease the process. The body responds best when it is not rushed or overloaded. This principle extends beyond fruit. Aging bodies often thrive on consistency rather than extremes. The goal is not restriction, but harmony, offering nourishment in amounts the body can comfortably manage. Fruit remains a valuable part of a balanced diet, yet portion awareness helps maintain steadiness in digestion and blood sugar. And as we move forward, there is a broader theme that quietly ties these concerns together. Beyond specific fruits or portion sizes, the larger message centers on balance and moderation as guiding principles for healthy aging. That gentle perspective leads us naturally into the next point. When it comes to fruit, and really to most things in later life, the quiet principle that rises above all others is balance. Not fear, not strict avoidance, not excess enthusiasm either. Simply balance. After 70, the body no longer responds well to extremes. It prefers steadiness, gentle rhythms, predictable patterns. The same fruit that nourishes in a small portion may overwhelm in a large one. The same sweetness that brings pleasure may strain blood sugar when consumed too often. Moderation becomes less about restriction and more about respect for how the body has changed. Fruit remains a valuable source of vitamins, antioxidants, hydration, and fiber. These benefits do not disappear with age. In fact, they may become more important as the immune system softens and digestion slows. But the way fruit is eaten matters just as much as the fruit itself. Choosing a variety rather than relying heavily on one type helps distribute different nutrients without overloading the body with a single compound. Pairing fruit with proteins such as nuts, yogurt, or a small piece of cheese can slow sugar absorption and create a more stable energy curve. Spacing fruit intake throughout the day rather than concentrating it in one sitting can reduce digestive strain. Moderation also means listening to subtle feedback. The body speaks in quieter signals now, slight bloating after certain fruits, mild fatigue following a large portion, restless sleep after eating late at night. These are not dramatic warnings but gentle nudges toward adjustment. Instead of ignoring them, balance invites curiosity. What happens if the portion is smaller? What if fruit is eaten earlier in the day? What if sweeter varieties are rotated with lower sugar? Options like berries or green apples. There is dignity in adapting rather than resisting change. Aging is not about giving up pleasure, it is about refining it. A few slices of ripe mango savored slowly may bring more satisfaction than a whole bowl eaten absent-mindedly. A small handful of berries enjoyed with breakfast may feel lighter and more supportive than a heavy fruit dessert before bed. The difference lies not in deprivation, but in intention. Balance also includes awareness of personal health conditions. Those managing diabetes, kidney concerns, heart medications, or digestive sensitivities may need slightly different boundaries. What feels moderate for one person may not be moderate for another. Individual differences matter more as the body becomes more nuanced in its needs. In the end, fruit itself is not the enemy. Extremes are. The aging body thrives on steadiness, on choices that support rather than challenge its quieter systems. Moderation allows enjoyment without consequence, nourishment without strain. And while balance guides daily choices, there is one final piece that brings reassurance to all of this when uncertainty arises, especially around medications or chronic conditions. Professional guidance can provide clarity. That thoughtful step leads gently into our final point. In later life, the body carries more history. It has adapted, healed, compensated, and adjusted through decades of change. By the time someone reaches 70 or beyond, daily health often includes medications, supplements, and long-standing habits that quietly support stability. With so many moving parts, even small changes in diet like adding or removing certain fruits can influence that balance. This is why one of the most protective habits a senior can develop is simple when unsure. Ask. Healthcare providers, whether doctors, pharmacists, or dietitians, see the larger picture. They understand how medications interact, how kidney function changes over time, how blood sugar responds differently with age. A fruit that feels harmless may carry specific implications when combined with certain prescriptions. A sweet snack that seems natural may affect glucose levels more than expected. A tropical fruit enjoyed occasionally might be risky in the presence of kidney disease. These details are not always obvious, and they are not always printed clearly on a label. Consulting a healthcare provider is not a sign of weakness. It is a form of wisdom. It shows respect for the body and for the complexity of aging. Many older adults hesitate to ask questions because they do not want to seem overly cautious. Others assume that food, especially fruit, does not require medical discussion. But as we have seen, the relationship between food and medication can be subtle and meaningful. A short conversation during a routine visit can prevent discomfort, side effects, or unnecessary worry. Pharmacists in particular are often an underused resource. They understand how specific drugs are metabolized and can quickly identify whether something like grapefruit or starfruit poses a concern. They can also clarify portion guidance for individuals managing diabetes or digestive conditions. These conversations do not need to be complicated. Even a simple question, "Is this fruit safe with my medication?" can provide reassurance. The goal is not to create fear around food. It is to create confidence. Confidence comes from understanding how personal health conditions intersect with daily habits. As the body ages, individualized care becomes more important than general advice. What is safe for one person may not be for another. That is why personalized guidance matters more than broad warnings. Fruit remains a beautiful and nourishing part of life. Sweetness does not disappear after 70. It simply becomes something to approach with awareness. With balance, moderation, and informed choices, most fruits can still be enjoyed safely. If you find these gentle reminders helpful and would like more calm practical guidance for life after 70, you are warmly invited to subscribe to the channel. We will continue exploring simple ways to protect health, maintain balance, and move through the later years with steadiness and confidence. Until our next conversation, take care of your body with patience, and we will meet again in the next video.